I tour around the Caribbean, I bound up with a old-time West Indian to prove you are a calypso.
I am elated that there's been a willingness here on the Isthmus to embrace Black ethnicity and our culture. We are the proud descendants of a people who have come a mighty long way. Some arrived here on the Isthmus of Panama against their will, while others arrived willingly from the Caribbean in the late 1800s and 1900s in search of jobs with the construction of the Panama Canal and before that the railroad. These mighty men came to this foreign land with dreams of a better life for themselves and their family. Life was not easy, and for many that had the big dreams of building a prosperous life, realized the new world was filled with adversity, continued discrimination, and further disappointments. And sadly, many left and never returned to see their family members again. In my family, I recall my older siblings telling the story that they had heard from our grandmother, where she left Barbados and went to Panama, and her sisters left Barbados and went to the United States and never saw each other again, with the exceptions of a few letters. There are many stories like these that we need to bring to the consciousness of our younger generation. The cemetery is not only about getting the grass cut. For me, it's the importance of bringing to life the stories and the experiences of our ancestors who were laid to rest here. But we need to see to it that we not only show honor and respect of these cemeteries, we also need to bring alive their stories. We share it with our younger generation so that they may be able to pass on the history from one generation to the next. Unfortunately, I see a younger generation very disconnected from their historical roots. We are the only ones that can tell our story. We're nearing extinction of our contributions as Afro-Antillians here on this isthmus, my friends. We need the involvements of our young Black Panamanian young women and men to be more actively involved with the preservation of our history. Wearing the beautiful African garbs and attending gala desfiles is important, but it's not enough to preserve our history. Sure, we need to be here to help clean up, but more importantly, we need them here engaged in the story of our people. Those men and women who work so hard, sacrifice so much, making a way possible for their children would be able to pursue far greater opportunities than what was available to them. With these opportunities came about another wave of diaspora. This is my Black history, the men and women who gave so much of themselves for so little in return. The values that they shape who I am today. I'm eternally grateful, and I know you are too. We need our young folks at the dining table, listening to stories before we're long gone. We have lost our first generation. We are in the last stages of losing our second generation, and it's us, the third generation here today, that's doing our best to ensure honor and respect at these cemeteries and to ensure that our future generation can continue to carry on our story.
Boy, I'm now in big trouble. This time I sure I seen the devil. see a big white horse and top a tall black cross. As a follow Poland and then the horse said, "Gee, come go to bed, you talk about run." I nearly break me head, run, big run from the dead. Run, what said, what run me lad? Run, let me a game of car. Run, there's no one running in truth. Run, it's not a mango root. Run, well I gone on inside a tooth. What? Run, a zoom, zoom, zoom,
Watch out with black penis. You're the king of darkness.
Sergeant Boogie, what are you doing in the cemetery?
I don't
Child, maybe 7, 8 years old. I had a grandfather who had worked in the canal, and he was old and he had a stroke, so he was like crippled, half of the body. And him and this other guy, who was also a friend of his, a contemporary, they used to sit down on the balcony and they would talk about the Panama Canal all the time. And I was just a little kid, and I don't know why, to this day I can't answer the question, but I used to sit down at their feet. A little child, and I would just sit there and listen to these stories. And I don't know why, whenever all my friends were playing, I stayed with them, these two gentlemen, and this happened a lot. And so it stayed with me. And then many years later, a book was published called The Path Between the Seas. It was a bestseller about the history of the building of the canal. And I was very disappointed after I read it, because I had known the story based on what I heard from my grandfather and his friend. We used to call him Tata. And I was like disappointed that this book actually basically ignored the West Indian workers. I mean, it mentioned them, but in very few pages. It was a 600-page book. And that made me angry. And I had a friend named Alex Haley who wrote Roots. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And I used to talk to him about this, and I used to be angry, and I would like vent with him. And one day he got tired of me and he said, "Listen, Roman, get your behind down to Panama and start working on this thing and record it." And in 1978, January, I'll never forget, he gave me what I needed, and the rest was history.
What I was very happy about was that the documentary actually was able to capture individuals who actually worked on the Panama Canal. And as the documentary showed, several of them subsequently passed away. So I think it was very important that the filmmaker actually managed to capture them. That was the thing that resonated with me. Also, what was very important to me as well is seeing that when you do not document your history, it is very easy for people to just erase the contribution.